what is actually the data integration? Do you have any idea what exactly the data integration mean?
Like I think there is a raw data and we have to say and we have to organize it in those where it needs to be. I'm not sure, I'm just like
Yeah,
guessing.
no problem. Even if you want to you want to communicate anything in Hindi, I am fine. I can understand.
Okay, okay.
You want, yeah.
So this is, I mean, I can guess that there is a raw data and I can just implement it where it needs to be.
Okay, fine. So exactly, if you will just think, right, integration means combining two system, I will say. So generally, if you will just imagine, your Anaplan is nothing but you are building something, right? Models in
Hmm.
level 1, level 2, you have built some models, but that model will be of no use till the time there will be data in that model, right? Because you are
Hmm.
playing with the data only. So from where that data will come? Either you will upload import action, you will upload based on the file, right?
Hmm.
Then it will be there in the modules, or you can automate that process. Integration means nothing but the automation. How? In your model, directly your data will automatically trigger from the source system and it will be populated in your modules
Okay,
through
okay.
automated system. They will write some APIs, and what will happen? Your data will flow from source to directly your target system, like in Anaplan model. So that is called as the integration, you can say. So source system can be multiple, right? Data can be there in the Salesforce, Workday, SAP, or file-based data, or
Hmm.
database management system, RDBMS, or anywhere data lake on cloud. So from there, you can actually pull your uh, all the data, whatever is required in your Anaplan data hub model or spoke models. Okay,
Hmm.
that is called as your data integration. So okay, you understood, right?
Yes, yes.
The slides are changing or not?
Yes, sir?
Slide. I
Yeah, yeah,
changed.
it's changing.
Okay, fine. So now it is some. Now what we are discussing, just related to some terminology related to your data integration. Okay.
Hmm.
So just these are some terminology if we want to just have some understanding in any meeting. If someone is talking, what that mean actually, right?
Hmm.
They will be using this terminology. So if you see, it is profiling. So what is profiling? Profiling means to review the data and understand its structure and content, right?
Hmm.
So suppose you received some data. Some are in the text formatted, like some texts are there, countries are there in text, some numbers are there, some dollar values are there, some numbers are there which are in rupees, some are in dollar, right?
Hmm.
Just to understand that data, you to read out that is, data and understand the structure of that data, whether it is a text, whether it is a number, or whether it is a linear formatted. Okay. So just to understand what exactly that data structure is and what is the type of that data, that is called as a profiling. Okay.
Okay.
If you will see reviewing the data to understand the structure and content, what format it is, the data in. So all these things, like, just ultimately one word to understand the data, that is known as
Okay.
profiling. Okay. Now the next is your under profiling only, one word used to come, data curation. Okay. So
Okay.
what is the data curation? Identifying the correct data and correcting it before, sorry, identifying the incorrect data and correcting it before loading in the target system is known as data curation. So
Okay. So the modification of the data in which the corrections are needed.
exactly, because always you will not get the correct data, right? In the from the source
Yes.
system also, they used to be having some wrong data set.
Hmm.
You want to move that data to the Anaplan, right? So before moving it to the Anaplan, you are correcting that data, then it is known as data curation. So here in example, you can see everything is correct, but at last they have not written numerical zero, rather they have given a zero with text, right?
Hmm.
So they have corrected that data and made it zero before loading in the Anaplan. So that is known as data curation. Okay.
Hmm.
Now under the same tree, one word is data standardization. What is data standardization? convert data into a common data format, right? That is
Mm.
standardization. Something you want to standardize, you will make all the things in a one standard way, right? Anything in a general scenario, if you will also think, standardization means making all the same in a common group to make in a
In the
single
same format.
exactly. So here you will see example 12th January 2022, then 15/05 2022, then 2022 08/26. How they have done the standardization? Now you can see in the bottom, all are in the same format. First it is year, YYYY, then it is underscore, it is a month, then underscore it is a date, DD, right?
Mm-hmm.
They standardize it, that's known as data standardization. So what is the next is data transformation. Then what? Okay, you only try to define what it is. Just seeing this.
Like there is a customer name where the first name and last name are both together, and then we're converting it into two other tables where the first name and last name are in a separate table.
Mm-hmm. So okay, yeah. So what it is happening? It is transforming the same data, right?
Yeah.
Actually, from source we receive only one set, like first name, last name together as a customer name.
Hmm.
But we want it is to be splitted in the first name, last name. Then that is known as a data transformation. We transform that data from one form to another form, right? We
Hmm.
created two line items from one, and that can be done by the ETL processes. ETL is nothing but extract, transform, and load. Okay,
Hmm.
so that is all about data transformation. Now, ETL tools. What are ETL tools? ETL means I told you like extract, transform, and load, right?
Hmm.
Many ETL tools transform data as it loads. Transforming before loading minimize processing load on platform. Easier to transform data as its source at its source. Right? So what they are saying, ETL we actually in integration they use multiple times ETL tools. Why they use? So what they will do? They will correct the data. They will
So they can
transform.
modify the whole thing.
They used to modify in the source itself before loading in the target.
Hmm.
Because that is easy. Although you can have the same data in data plan, then later on also you can transform that, right?
Hmm.
But not the recommended thing. Actually, you should be correcting that data in the source itself, and then you bring it to the Anaplan.
Hmm.
That is the use of ETL tool. There it will help you, right?
So it's being used before I am extracting the data.
Right, right. Or even after extracting, the this tool will be having the mechanism. Just it will extract, and then it will change in the
Okay.
required format, transform, and then it will load. So it will be in between after
Okay.
extraction before load. Okay,
Hmm.
fine. So now next is a governance. Governance word itself describe everything, right? Understanding and managing the metadata that support integration. Whether metadata is month on month or quarter on quarter or year on year or region by region. So governance means nothing but just understanding and managing that metadata. Like whether we want to manage the data in month on month basis, or we want it to be in quarter on quarter basis, or we want it to be managed yearly, or from region to region we want to vary it, right? Revenue,
Hmm.
that is known as a governance. Okay,
Okay.
so just managing the data. Now terms comes as a API. What is exactly the API? These are terms related to the integration. So what is API? API is nothing but an interface that allows action to be executed from within a hub, within a web application. Anaplan uses REST API. So if someone asks what Anaplan use as which API Anaplan use, so you can say it uses REST API.
REST API.
And create post to start action and update file metadata, read get reads data, update put uploads a file. So these are all, like if you might have been learned C language, right? C++.
Yes.
You will be having some C out, C in, right?
Hmm.
Similarly, API, these are the function, predefined function, read, get, update, put, create, post. So they
Hmm.
used to use this function, okay?
Okay.
Do the that particular action. So this is API. Okay, and Anaplan uses REST API. Now API summary. REST API exposes Anaplan objects as an import action, export action. Uh, Integration tools use the API to call or invoke the action. Okay. So did you understand? Like import action, export action, you know, right?
Yes,
It
yes.
Anaplan. So what it will do? Suppose if you remember, you might have been running those actions, right? Some import
Mm.
action is there, you might have been running,
Yes,
but
yes.
you need not to manually run once you have written some API. What it will do automatically, it will call that particular action, that API, and it will get triggered automatically, and it will run and it will do the job. That is the REST API.
Okay, so
Don't
I don't have to do anything in
you
when
need
I
not to, yeah, you need not to do anything. Just they will schedule it. So if
okay,
they schedule for this particular time, automatically it will go and it will just trigger that, and that action or process will automatically run and get completed. That's
okay,
the work of API. Okay.
okay.
Integration tools use the API to call or invoke the action. Yeah. And same thing for export also. Like both import, accept, export, both the things
Hmm.
can be triggered through API. Now sample import workflow. How import works, right? This is the high level they are saying, because I already told you, right? Automatically it will, what it will do? It will
Hmm.
automatically just trigger that action. But how it will do? That's they are explaining here. So generate authentication token, then determine workspace ID and model ID, then get a list of files, then upload a file in chunks, then get a list of import action in a model, then call an import action, then check status of an import. So what exactly here it is happening, if you will think, right? Suppose I will write any API, how that will know like which model I need to go and which particular action I need to trigger, right? That we
Hmm.
should be defining, right? Otherwise which model it will go, there will be lakhs of model in the,
And a plan.
yeah, in an plan. So to make the system identify, like you need to go to this model, you need to pick this particular action
I
in,
have to
you need to,
provide the ID, workspace ID and model ID.
correct. Then we need to provide all these detail, workspace ID, model ID, and authentication is why, because you need to log in inside that, right? To
Hmm.
trigger that. Otherwise, how you will do that? Because access is also required. So authentication enter inside the model. Then to identify that workspace ID and then model ID, then all the files which we want to load based on that file, or based on that action, right?
Hmm.
So all this now you understood, right? What exactly
Yes,
the,
yes.
okay. So now in this, how authentication used to happen, right? So
Hmm.
if you have generate authentication token, how they are so there are multiple ways to generate this authentication. They will just pass some argument in the API postman. There are multiple things, right?
Hmm.
Based on they can authenticate, or they will enter their email ID and password in there itself. Like our, suppose I have some access, right? You have some access. They will use your email ID and password to authenticate and inside the model. Okay. So there are multiple ways of authentication also. I will explain you those also. Okay.
Hmm.
These are nothing but same thing, like determining workspace ID, model ID, what we explained. Then identifying all the list of file which we want to upload, right?
Hmm.
We want it to be in the chunk, that we can do in the chunk. Chunk means nothing but splitting that file. Suppose some file is very big, right? In GBs. Suppose
Hmm.
10, you cannot upload in the system directly 10 GB. So you need to break it in one GB. So that also system will do.
Okay.
Break in multiple chunks and then it will upload. Then identifying all the list of action model, right?
Hmm.
Then ultimately calling that action import to start that publishing that data. Then finally it will show you the status, whether it all successful or anything got failed, right?
Hmm.
Okay. Data integration of the Anaplan UX, most basic one. Okay. So now, how, what are the ways of integration, right? Right? Either automated or unautomated. So this is the first basic one. This which you have already used, import, right? We use
Hmm.
the module and we import. So that is nothing but a import. Now, Anaplan Connect. What does this mean? This is also one type of integration which is already available in Anaplan. Like Anaplan has designed one Anaplan Connect application. through which you can perform your integration. Okay. But
Hmm.
to use this tool, you need to have some architectural requirement or prerequisite, right? So that's what they are saying here. To use this Anaplan Connect, you should be having Anaplan Connect architecture installed on customer system. So this need to be installed in customer system. Then Java 8 or Java 11 runtime environment should be there in that system. This enables exchange of data with Anaplan. It will enable the data exchange. Execute Anaplan action on process, flat files, relational database can be run with scheduling tools, right?
Hmm.
So it is nothing but a provided tool from the Anaplan Connect to perform all the integration, right? And these are the requirements just to utilize that. Okay.
Okay.
Now data integration option, Anaplan Connect. So, data integration option in a plan connect. Again, the same thing what we were discussing here, right? In a plan connect, these are saying that these are the requirements. In a plan connect requirement system need to be
Okay.
running same thing, right? Java 8 and Java 11, and URL should be unblocked. Java key store if using key authentication. So these are all the requisite. This should be there. If using single sign-on, user must be an exception user.
Okay.
Do you have any idea on SSO, single sign-on?
So your voice is very disconnecting.
Okay, I was just saying, like, do you know about single sign-on, SSO?
So I just know that this is a way I can log in, but I don't know anything more than that.
Yeah, that is only the thing. If you want to log in, right, and you have been enabled as a single sign-on, you need not to enter your password. Directly, you can log in with your ID itself. That is single sign-on. Okay.
So I don't need password.
Yeah, you don't need your password will be there, but you need not to enter your password again.
Okay. Okay.
Just you will go single sign-on. Just you will enter your email ID and you will be in.
Hmm. Okay.
Now this is a hyperconnect. So these are all type of integration. Hyperconnect is, so if you will see, we are going from basic to high level. Like first basic was their import, right?
Hmm.
And then we have Anaplan Connect. Now we have hyperconnect. It used to change on demand basis of the client, right? How their whole organization is designed.
Sir,
Uh,
can you please repeat what you said?
so I'm saying like if this is hyperconnect, right? So
Hmm.
like how you will decide which one you need to use in your project, right?
Hmm.
So you will check whether how the client environment is, like how the client data is structured, from where the source are there. So there are some differences in all these three, four, five, whatever, right? So
Hmm.
you choose the right one. You need to see what is the requirement of the client and how much client can pay, because this will get costly in each level. Like manual is lowest cost, then Anaplan Connect will be little bit higher, then Hyper Connect will be very high cost, right?
Hmm.
But definitely the usability wise, some additional features and functionality will get added up whenever you will go up, right? So
Hmm.
if you see Hyperconnect overview, what is saying, quite clear outline. As long as an plan is the data source target, easy to use and drag and drop user interference. So it is very easy to use Hyperconnect. Just you need to drag and drop thing can be done, right?
Hmm.
So that's what they are saying. So and it can schedule also based on mapping. So it is a little bit user friendly Hyperconnect, but it will be costly, right?
Hmm.
Now Hyperconnect secure agent, but to use the Hyperconnect, you need to have the secure agent overview. Secure agent is the runtime environment in Informatica Cloud Service responsible for secure communication. Every implementation of Hyperconnect should must have at least one secure agent. So these are again the same thing, like how we seen in the Anaplan Connect, right? To use the Hyperconnect, you should be having all these things installed in your system.
Okay.
Because if you will think just to run any software, right, you need to have multiple configuration
Hmm.
installed in your laptop. Only you will be able to use that, right? So similar thing, to use these things also, you need to have some certain configuration. Okay. So now one of the other thing is iPass. So if you
Hmm.
will see, this is an integration platform as service extra. So Here, what is the benefit of iPass? iPass will be having ETL in his own. Like you need not to have any extra ETL tool for
It
your
is already inbuilt in
yeah,
iPass.
inbuilt. So ETL is already inbuilt, correct. So same thing, data transformation logic, load data into target, any plan connection. So all these things are there. Okay. Then again, REST API we were talking in starting, right?
Hmm.
So we already understood what exactly the REST API is because Anaplan uses REST API. Anaplan publish REST API. So if we want to use anything, right, any tool, so that tool should be compatible with REST API. Then only we will be able to choose that for Anaplan, right?
Hmm.
Because there will be a lot of other integration tools also, but we cannot utilize them for Anaplan because they don't use the REST API, right? So this is like a drawback. You need to have the REST API compatible for any tool which you wanted to use. Okay. Now choosing a data integration. That's what I was saying you right. How you will choose which data integration option you want to pick in your project, right?
Hmm.
These are something which will let you know or make you easier to understand what you are going to choose as a data integration option. How you will see who will own the integration, right? Either business user or IT team. Suppose there is a big company, Wipro is there, Deloitte is there, TCS is there, right?
Hmm.
So they want to have the data integration in there. So there will be IT team definitely, right? Already
Hmm.
IT people will be there. So you can choose some complex integration also because they will be able to handle that, right? But you don't have the IT team, you have just the business users. Then you will not choose a complex one, right? Because how you will handle that? Because that
Hmm.
business users will not be knowing about integration anything, right?
Hmm.
So that's what they are writing. If business user planning activities, driver user requirement may lack some technical knowledge, IT team responsible for other integration, security, and technical architect may already have integration options. So this will help you to identify the right integration, right?
Hmm.
By seeing the organization architecture. Now, do the source data and hierarchy need to be mapped or transformed? Now, here, whether you need a ETL or not, that they want to check. Whether how the data is coming from source directly, you are going to feed it in the target, or you need to do some transformation before feeding, right?
Hmm.
So you need to identify that thing. Now, how much integration is required? How much means what? How much means frequency? Like you want real time integration. If anything happens in changes in the source, then and there you want to push into the NFR, or you want a daily basis once in a day, like you want to run all those action processes only one time in the whole day on the fixed schedule time, right? Or you
Hmm.
want weekly only to run that action, right? So
Hmm.
that frequency also matters to choose which integration because different tool will give you a different flexibility, right?
Hmm.
uh, schedule, right? You
Hmm.
understood this point, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Again, same thing. How much automation is required? Taking action and process that have already been built and running them on a scheduled basis. So that's what they're saying. How much integration is required? Whether you want to keep on running those action process or you want to have a fixed schedule time, right?
Hmm.
Now, choosing a data integration option. Again, same topic we are going on. Existing ETL. Whether you have already any existing transform tool in your organization. Suppose you are building some project for some other client, right? You are
Hmm.
in Deloitte, you are building some project for some client. Then you will see whether that your client is already having some ETL tool.
Sir, can you please repeat what you said?
I'm saying, like, suppose you are building a project for a
Hmm.
client.
Hmm.
Then you will see whether your client is already having ETL or not. If
Hmm.
he will be already having ETL tool, you will first see to utilize that tool, right? Rather
Hmm.
than asking them to buy a new tool, right? It will be
Hmm.
cost saving for them. That's what here we are checking whether client is already having ETL. Okay.
Hmm.
Then see here, this graph tells you all whatever we were discussing till now. Okay. If you will see, Anaplan import and export output, then Anaplan Connect, then ETL tools, then REST API, right?
Hmm.
So if you see here, it is complexity wise, it will increase when you will go towards REST API, right?
Hmm.
So these are all, but some features also there, like it can be customized. Here ETL will be there, automation can be there, simple manual it will be, right? So you can see the graph how the complexity and is increasing based on this selection, and even your cost will also increase.
Hmm.
Okay, so you understand. Now I was saying you right. There will be two authentication option, right?
Hmm.
To enter inside the Anaplan. So these are two authentication. Basic authentication. Second is CA certificate authentication. Okay. Then what is the difference between these two? Your basic authentication, if you will see, so in basic authentication, you will be using your ID and password.
Hmm.
Okay. Then that will be known as basic authentication. But what is CA certificate authentication? CA certificate authentication will not be having any ID and password. Okay.
Hmm.
Then if it is not having any ID and password, how it is going to work, right?
So,
So
so this is the SOS, or sorry, what was the
no, yeah, SOS was only
SSO? Sorry.
SSO, sorry, SSO. But this is a different thing. SSO is for your users, like for you and me, right? But
Okay.
this is for the integration team, like
Okay. Okay.
for integration. So basic authentication method also can use any ID password, but the CA certificate authentication is nothing but there you need not to use the ID and password. Rather, there what you can do, you can just upload a certificate. Anaplan will provide you a certificate. You will upload that certificate, and it will identify the password of the model. Okay. So there is a difference. In basic, you have the risk to your ID password get stolen, right? Whoever will be able to see that coding, they can take your ID password, right? But in CA certificate, you are not using any ID password, so it is a more safer way of doing integration authentication, right?
Hmm.
So you see here it is a single sign-on. If single sign-on is being used with basic authentication, the user must be an exceptional user. What they are saying, suppose you are a single sign-on user, okay, and you are using your ID and password in the basic authentication, then you should be exceptional user, otherwise you will not be able to log in. Okay.
So can you please repeat this?
Yeah. So suppose for your ID in Anaplan model, your single sign-on is already enabled, right?
Hmm.
So now you are using your ID password where in the basic authentication, because basic authentication asks ID and password, right?
Hmm.
Then you will not be able to log in till the time if you have not been assigned as an exceptional user.
Okay.
So you should be designated as an exception user. Then only you will be able to perform this authentication based on your ID password. Otherwise, you will not. Right?
Hmm.
Okay, that's what. So, okay, just a second. हेलो हाँ मैं लगा रहा हूँ ना 10 मिनट पे मीटिंग हेलो yeah no.
Yes.
So exception this we understood. Okay, now CA certificate authentication. So they are saying this is the recommended approach, right? CA certificate authentication. Now what is CA? CA means nothing but a certificate authority. So verifiable data files that contains identify credentials. CA has verified the identity. So what it will do, it will just identify and it will give access to you for that model with the security key and without the login ID and password, right? So, like I already explained. Now, how to use that CA certificate? That's what they are saying, right?
Hmm.
So, there used to be a one role, tenant administrator in the Anaplan. It used to be the tenant admin role, right?
Hmm.
It will be about the model builder. They will be admin for whole tenant workspace. What they will do, whatever security Anaplan will provide, right? there will be one place under